Hello, welcome to DIY is my happy place. Today we're going to be putting a frame around this mirror, and it is a lot easier than you might think. All you need is some pre-treated board. I actually like the kind that is thicker on one side, but it just depends on what you want your frame to look like. Get a tape measure, and you're either going to need a chop saw or a miter saw, and this is pretty darn easy. So let me show you how to do it. Okay, so this is what I do because I've chopped these before and messed them up, and then, you know, you waste, each one of these boards costs $4.50. So I can do this whole frame for under 20 if I do it correctly. So I always just get wrapping paper or brown paper, whatever, and I measure it off. And my 45-degree angles don't have to be perfect. I just need to know what the outer edge is going to be. So I just mark it off on here. So all I have to do is put one little tiny mark to know this is my outer edge. It's going to be at a 45 cut. And you want the thick side towards the back. So you can see this is thinner on this side. So thick side here, so it's going to cut. So I'm marking the mark where I know that's going to be the outer edge. So all I have to do is set my chop saw to 45 and do 4 cuts, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 4 more cuts on the other 2. So anyway, 2 cuts per thing, 8 cuts total, and we're in business. It's fast, it's easy, and so let's go to the chop saw.
Before I go to the chop saw, I do like to tape up my paper template just to make sure that I like the size, I like how it's going to fit, and that I'm going to be cutting it at the right angles. Now, I know it sounds like that should be easy, but when you start chopping, sometimes it gets confusing. Wait, do I want this to be the back side? Is this the front side? Yeah, trust me. I think it's worth doing a template with paper, and then you can do your chops knowing you're doing it correctly.
So I got to get my first 45-degree angle right here. So let me show you how I'm going to do this. I need the cut to be right there. Okay.
In order to video and cut, it kind of looks like an awkward angle, but I just wanted to show how I was cutting each of these boards.
Okay, now I'm going to cut the other way. So I need the 45 going the opposite way. Tighten that down, and I'll cut my other line.
And as you can see, it's not rocket science. Like, there's one little mark that shows me where the end is going to be. So I just put that in the center of where I want my 45-degree angle to be. And again, I like to have that marked because sometimes you can accidentally put the board the other direction, and anyway, cuts can get so confusing. That's why it is worth doing the paper formula first. Once you have that template on paper, you'll know which way to cut, which one's the thick end, which is the thin end, and it goes fast and easy. I personally really feel like it is time well spent to do a paper template. Then you'll be happy with your work.
Okay, now that my boards are cut, I need to put them up on the mirror, but I need to Dremel out a piece on each one of these where I have the part that holds the mirror together. You can see that up there. So there's one on the bottom, 2 on the bottom, and 2 on the top. And the best way to do that is putting toothpaste on the bracket and then lining this up on it. I'm going to show you.
It seems crazy, but it really does work. If you just put toothpaste on, then you can mark your board so you know exactly where you need to Dremel out. Now, one thing that I will say, when you're doing your frame, make sure that your frame is not on the outside of the mirror, but literally coming at least halfway across the mirror so that you have somewhere to glue it on. You don't want to glue it right to the wood. You actually want it to glue onto the outer edge of the mirror. I hope that makes sense. And so once I get that lined exactly where I want it, then I just mark it, and now there's some toothpaste right on my board. And then I draw a line with a pen just so I know for sure exactly how much I need. And then I can go along and with the Dremel dig out so that that little attachment will be able to fit in securely. Once I get the 4 different spots where the mirror is held up, notched out, then I lined it up against my mirror to make sure that it lined up exactly where I wanted it. And now I can assemble my frame. And this is the spot where I differ from a lot of other folks that have made frames for their mirrors, because many people clamp their mirrors and so on and so forth, or they attach the board directly to the wall or to the mirror, one piece at a time. Well, I tried both of those options and neither one really worked very well. First of all, my mirror is huge, so it didn't want to hold together. So after I had glued it, clamped it, the whole thing, when I tried to install it, it popped off. So that didn't work. Secondly, putting it on the wall and then trying to get it to be at the right angle, that didn't work. I couldn't get it to frame out very good. So I finally decided, you know what? I'm putting on some brackets. This is what I should have done from the beginning. I picked up these brackets from a box store, and they cost less than $2 for 4 brackets. All I had to do was screw them into the frame, and then it will hold together perfectly. You don't have to wait overnight for the frame to be clamped. You don't have to have special clamps, all of those things. You don't need all that. Or trying to hang each piece up onto the wall and then them not lining up perfectly, and you're having your hands above your head trying to get these. Anyway, I'm just saying. Take it from me, this is the easiest way to do it. And so all you have to do is make sure that your screws are not longer than your frame. So if the thickness of your frame is too thin, then you might have to glue the clamps on rather than screw them on or get other screws that are smaller. And I was right at the very edge of making this work. Like, the screws were exactly the same height as the thickness of my wood. So if I had it to do again, I probably would have gotten thicker frame. But you do need to pre-drill, and here's why. If you just drill right in, it's going to push the wood out, and then you'll have a bubble on the other side. So you want to pre-drill for your screws, and then that's all there is to it. Just put those screws in, and I did put some liquid nails in between so that we can make sure that it has a nice seal. But I'm not waiting for liquid nails to dry because of the fact that I used brackets. Now, here's what I was talking about. If you don't pre-drill, it kind of pushes the screw up and you have to sand the wood down and putty it. That's a whole thing. So I wish I would have pre-drilled all 4 sides. Then once you get that done, go ahead and use some putty to fill in any gaps to make it look a lot more professional. And I like using the spackle because it dries fast and all you have to do is paint over it and then it becomes permanent. The other reason why I like to pre-make the frame separate from on the wall is it makes it so much easier to paint it and to get it exactly how you want it without a lot of hassle. Now, here is the reason why we want our frame to go inside the mirror itself, because if you're attaching the frame to the mirror, the double stick tape is a perfect option. And then it's not quite so permanent. It really will hold up for a long time, but it's not like you put liquid nails on and the whole entire wall has to come down to get it off. Not literally, but you see what I'm saying. So I just took a couple of layers of double stick tape, wrapped it all the way around. Simple, fast, easy. take off the backing, and then voila, my frame's ready to go up. Look how fast that is. I have to say, yeah, this is definitely a game changer. It really does make a difference on how the entire bathroom looks. When you walk in after you have it framed, all of a sudden you can't quite put your finger on it, but it just looks so much better. Then caulk the inner edge. Did you know that you can cut the top off a caulk with the caulking gun itself? A lot of times you don't know what that little hole there is, but that's to cut the tip off of the caulk. Go ahead and caulk around, and then boom, that's all there is to it. What do you think? Please leave a comment below and let me know if you're going to give it a try. I mean, look at the before and after. It is so worth it, and I was able to do this on a tight budget, so that always makes me happy. All right, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this out, and I will see you again soon. See ya.